song All the Things You Are. This is one of my favorite jazz standards. Let's kind of study it a little bit and look at some kind of approaches to play over top of it. All right, so here's how the tune works. F minor 7 first. E flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So if you have your real book in front of you, maybe take a look at that. That'll help you kind of go through this. So if you analyze this, F minor 7 to B flat minor 7, E flat 7 to A7. So this is going to be a 6, 2, 5, 1 in the key of A flat. 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay, so that's pretty standard. Now, this D flat major 7 chord is next. This could be the 4 chord in A flat, right? This is a really cool trick that this tune does. I don't know if we call it a trick, but sort of like the fancy thing about this particular jazz standard I think is really neat. D flat major 7. This C note is the 7, and then the F note is the 3rd. But if you go to D minor 7 for the next chord, the 7th and the 3rd are the same. The guide tones are the same for this major chord to this minor chord. They're the same notes. These two notes right here, check it out. So that's how they did that there. It's really slick. From the 4 chord here to this 2, 5, 1 to C. That's how they modulated. So tricky. So we have same chord as this. Now, the next thing that happens is this parallel movement, like the Beatles change. C major to C minor to F minor 7, we'll play minor 9, B flat 7 to E flat major 7, A flat major 7, and it's the same trick right here, same device to make that modulation happen. So here, C minor 7 is a 6 chord, F minor 7 is a 2 chord, B flat 7 is a 5 chord, and E flat's a 1 chord. So it's a 6, 2, 5, 1, and E flat. A flat for E flat is the 4 chord of E flat. It's the same exact thing they just did the last time. This guy has these guide tones. There's the 7th and the 3rd, but a minor 7, there's the 7 and the 3rd. So they were able to modulate to a different key using the 7th and the 3rd as their modulation device, A minor 7 to D7 and G major 7. So that is just an amazing concept there. So we have 6, 2, 5, 1 in A flat, 4, which becomes the 2, 5, 1 of C. And C is a 5th higher than F. So they've just modulated a 5th, going up a 5th. That's so awesome. I'm sorry to get so excited. I'm geeking out over music theory stuff here. C major 7, we did the Beatles change here, the parallel movement from C major to C minor. Now we have F minor 7, B flat 7, playing a 13th chord, E flat major 7. And then A flat major 7 is the 4 chord of E flat. So we had a 6, 2, 5, 1 again. 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, which becomes the 2, 5, 1 of G. Boy, is that neat. And guess what? G's a 5th higher than C. So they have cycled up a 5th and then up a 5th. So people will tell you that jazz is really hard, and it is very complicated. And you have to know a lot of stuff to be able to even start to mess around and play with this stuff. It's not like, playing a blues song. Bro, the very first day you play the blues with your friends and you can kind of jam out right away. Wow, dude, you played some great blues there, dude, and you can just, solo right away. Jazz, there's definitely an entrance fee. You have to learn a bunch of stuff, but the upside is everything makes sense. It's very logical. It's very thought out. This is very methodical. It's very much a kind of a science in a sense. It's a 32 bar form, A, A, B, A, kind of a standard jazz tune. But the neat thing is that we're cycling through these 6, 2, 5, 1. So what does that mean? Okay, it's called rhythm changes. Like, you know, I've got rhythm, I've got my gal, you could ask for anything more. It's rhythm changes. 1, 6, 2, 5, 3. Rhythm changes. So what happens with rhythm changes is this. This is so amazing. If you look at your circle of fifths, check this out. Key of C, no sharps and flats. Go down here to G, there's 1 sharp. D has 2 sharps. A has 3 sharps. E has 4 sharps. B has 5 sharps. F sharp has 6 sharps. C sharp has 7 sharps, but same as D flat. 5 flats, 4 flats, 3 flats, 2 flats, 1 flat, none. So the circle of fifths is this. However, if we look at the circle of fourth, which is the circle of fifths backwards, there's much more value in that because it's just the way the jazz tunes work. They're cycling through the circle of fourths. Key of C, no sharps or flats. F is 1, B flat is 2, E flat is 3, A flat is 4, 5, which is the same as 7 sharps, 6 sharps, 5 sharps, 4 sharps, 3 sharps, 2 sharps, 1 sharp, none. That's the circle of fifths. Sounds like that. You swing it, right? So if I go like through the keys, I can 2-5 all of that. 2-5 simply means playing the 2 chord and the 5 chord. 2-5, 2-5, 2-5. So that kind of sound is really neat. And then eventually you'll learn about tritone substitution, where you can play the 2 chord and instead of playing the 5 chord up here and jumping up like this, I can go like this. And I'm playing a chromatic line right through the rhythm changes. It's really amazing, but everything cycles. So this tune is an ultimate example of cycling through the circle of fourths going up a fifth, right? We have F to B flat to E flat to A flat. It's doing exactly what I said it was going to do with the keys, isn't it? So we have do, 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 do. 4 chord, which is the same as the 2 chord of this because the guide tones are shared. This is a major third and a major 7. This is a minor third and a minor 7, but they're the same 2 guide tone notes from here, going from here to here, to here, to here. And then we have this parallel movement. That's how they modulate the next time. Oh, by the way, that went from the key of, okay, we'll move on. So here I'm going to go to here, I'm going to modulate to a minor 7 from the major 7 here. And that becomes the 6 chord, the 2 chord, 5 chord, and the 1 chord of E flat this time. A flat major 7 is the 4 chord of the E flat, and then we're going to do a 2, 5, 1 again. All we do is, here, we're going to go down to here. Up to here because they're sharing the fourths and the fifths. So the thirds and the sevenths. So this was A flat major 7 to A minor 7. These 2 notes are guide tones are shared. You can hear that. To 5 to 1. Now we're in G. It's a nice comfortable key. The key to G is good for guitar players. 2, 5, 1 again. 1. And then we have a minor 2-5. Minor 2-5 is this minor 7 flat 5. Now it's written as a diminished 7th in the book, and that's actually, I think, incorrect. Functionally speaking, it's a minor 7 flat 5 because it's a 2 chord. That chord can be called 3 different things. It's 4 actually, because it's also a 9th chord as well. It's a minor 7 flat 5, or it's a half diminished, or it's a diminished 7th, but that depends upon the function. It's a diminished 7th, let's see, minor 7 flat 5 if it's a 2 chord. It's a diminished 7th if it is used as a 7th chord, and it's half diminished if it's used as a passing chord. It's the same thing, and it's also a 9th chord too. You know, this is actually, these are all the same chords. It's kind of almost like synonymous chord play, if you will, chord experimentation and fun. But this is now F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and again, incorrectly written in the book as a diminished 7, but that's okay. Minor 7, 7 flat 9, and then it goes to this E major 7 chord. So it's a 2-5 that's minor, but to a major chord. And that's also a departure from what you usually would see. So that's kind of another little cool trick about this tune I think is neat. And then you have this C7 flat 13, which is this kick butt altered chord. And that's going to lead us back into this 2-5-1 again. Now check that out. That is the 5 chord right here of this chord, which is the 6 chord of this cycle back through 2-5-1 in A flat again. And then we have this D flat major 7, which is the 4 chord from before. And then you do a minor major 7 chord like this. Or you can look at it like this, here to here. And why does that matter? Well, it's chromaticism. You can hear it. Moves down chromatically. It's great movement. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. I'm sorry to geek out again. I'm just so excited. B flat minor 7, there's the chromaticism again, and that's a 2 to 5 to 1 again. And then we have another minor 2-5 written incorrectly again, because this time it's written as a half diminished chord, and again, it's not a half diminished chord, it's a minor 7 flat 5. So that's the whole tune. It's absolutely amazing how this is written. It is like perfect. This is my favorite jazz tune, I think. 6, 2, 5, 1 in A flat. 4, which is the same as 2, 5, 1 in C, because it's the shared notes. These thirds and sevenths are the same for here as this. Boy, that's amazing, right? And now we're going to do the Beatles change. We're going to go to a minor 7 next, to this F minor 7, to B flat 7, to E flat 7. That's another 6, 2, 5, 1 again, and this time we're in E flat. The 4 chords A flat major 7, which has these shared sevenths and thirds to A minor 7. So again, we have the same shared guide tones there, which is amazing. To the 5 chord, to a 1 chord, which is G. We're happy for a second as guitar players. It's very easy to understand that. Then we have this F minor 7 flat 5 again, to this B 7 flat 9, which is a minor 2 5, but then to an E major 7, which doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't have to really. It's those little departures to make everything great. Okay, and then after E flat major 7, we have this like altered chord, but it's actually a 5 chord back to this 6, 2, 5, 1 again. 4 chord, which is the 2, but it's a 4 chord. Instead of going this direction like we did last time, we're going to move down chromatically to this chord. Minor major 7 chord is probably my favorite chord of all. It's very spooky. In Bold Horizon, when I play on that song, Cloak and Dagger on my record, I do this chord. I love that sound. It's such a cool sound. This sound right there. And chromaticism moving down to this chord. And then chromaticism again. 2, 5 again. So I'll play that over top of these chord changes. I've got some comping going underneath here. Comping in jazz is when you kind of do this thing. Old-timey rhythm playing. If you use your thumb, it sounds better. If you just kind of, we're trying to swing here. So swing is a ba hoo ba hoo ba hoo ba hoo triple 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 ba hoo ba hoo ba hoo ba. So I've got that going on underneath here. So I'll play through the chords a little bit. Here we go. Now, how do you learn how to play all these chords I'm playing? I know that's a lot of stuff there, right? Major, minor, and dominant chords. That's the whole idea of everything. It's all about major, minor, and dominant. Video on the channel right here about how guide tones work. You want to check that out. It's going to help you understand how this works. You need to learn how to play these chords across the whole guitar neck. Once you start to do that, then you can find major, minor, and dominant chords kind of anywhere on the guitar, and you're able to kind of grab them at will. Video right here on the channel will show you how to start to do this with dominant 7th chords on a 4-3-2-1 string grouping through a blues. The blues is an easier place to start when you're figuring out how to play jazz because it's just an easier format, right? So I kind of think of blues as being like the brother who's downtown getting into a fist fight and drinking beer in the beer hall, and then his other brother, jazz, is uptown and he's drinking a martini. He's really like sophisticated. They're the same kind of, they're definitely related to each other, and there's a video on here about jazz blues. If you go to the live lesson studio stuff, I talk about jazz blues a lot at the Charlie Parker Blues. You can play jazz and blues and blend them together. But blues is definitely a little bit easier of an entry fee, like I had mentioned before. So that video will show you how to do dominant 7th chords on a 4-3-2-1 voicing, which means D string, G string, B string, high E string, and kind of work through how to play those voicings up here. And then you can kind of correlate that eventually into learning how to play these 7th chords across the entire guitar. That's kind of the goal, to be able to do that. And the comping I'm doing, I did like a chukka thing. And you also notice I did a piano technique. So I'm actually hybrid picking fingers together. I could do it with just my fingers as well. If you want that sound, it's a little bit beefier on the bass end. If you're gonna walk a bass line, you might want to use your thumb. And it sounds a little better. I go. But I'm using my pick. And for piano technique, I'm kind of grabbing the notes and letting my chords ring out like a piano. It's not like I can also arpeggiate the piano too. I can go. I call this a flaudit. You hear that all the time in jazz. What I'm doing is I'm adding extensions to the chords. It's an inversion of the chord. You can do inversions. I did it. There's that note, sorry. Again, getting geeked out about exciting stuff for me. These little moments make my day whenever you hit a harmonic and it actually works. So you can arpeggiate and articulate this. And kind of just feel your way through the tune. I don't know if I can, there it is. Ooh, that's minor major 7, my fault. And again, take some time to learn these chords, but once you do, you can play this across the entire guitar neck without any issues. I mean, well, it's always limitations. Nobody's ever where they want to be with any of this stuff. I mean, like, I feel like I don't know anything half the time, and half the time I feel like I know everything. It's just weird. I mean, not everything, but a lot. And then most of the time I feel like I don't know anything. So it's like an endless kind of like discovery of getting yourself to learn and keep pushing yourself. It's really easy to rest on your laurels and do nothing and just kind of say, I'm good enough. But what's good enough? I mean, like, really, you are the judge of what's good enough, and it's never good enough. I'll be playing guitar on my deathbed. I'll be practicing. I'll be like, give me that guitar. I'll be like hooked up the machines and face mask bubbling. I'll be like, come on, I got to figure out how to play one more 2/5 lick. Let me do it. I got to practice one more arpeggio. One more sweep pick. So now I'm going to try to show you how to play over the chord changes. I did this before with a Misty video on these live groupings as well. So if you can play your arpeggios, like F minor 7, for example, right here, I'm going to learn how to play these anywhere on the guitar. I can play it here, here, here. I can do it here, here, and kind of anywhere. If you do that, if I play F minor here, this is one of the neatest things you'll ever learn about jazz guitar, okay? If you go up a 4th or down a 5th, it's the same thing. So if I play this F note here, I can go up to B flat here, or I can go down to B flat here. But what I'm doing again is cycling through the circle of fourths. The key of F has 1 flat, the key of B flat has 2 flats. This is like a jazz insider secret that maybe you're not supposed to know yet or something. I don't know. Let me drink some of this Gatorade. Probably get in trouble for saying that. Like, it's really not, I'm not saying it's simple. Playing jazz is really hard, and it's challenging every moment of your entire experience. It makes you want to go back and play ZZ Top and just, rock out and be able to have like less thought and a little more kind of, emotion. But playing jazz is definitely worth it. The investment of trying to figure this stuff out and get fluent with it. There are shortcuts. There are ways to make it faster for you. And one of these ways, and I'm going to keep saying the same thing over and over in the videos, if you go up a fourth, it's the same as down a fifth. And that is huge, because if I go from this F minor 7 chord right here, there's my next chord. There's my next chord. Frankly, my next chord is actually here if I wanted to go up to there. There it is. So I went doom, here. Doom, do, 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 do. There's our fourths. See, that's amazing. Something called chordal harmony. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. A lot of times with in jazz tunes, you're playing a minor vamp, like impressions or something, da, 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 bum, and you can play fourths over top of those chords. And it's interesting because if you go through the cycle of fourths, the triads, which is triadal, it's tertiary harmony, is working with fourths and fifths. I find that to be fascinating. I had a student once who had a project for high school where he wanted to see how math worked in somebody's job. So he asked me to write a paper, and I can't find it. But I wrote a paper about how Jimi Hendrix used numbers for everything he did in his life. And it was everything, like intervals and frets and strings, all the way down to the voltage of his amplifier and the tubes and the numbers in the tubes and the gauges of the strings and circumference. And I mean, it's amazing how much math is involved in all this stuff. But I love math. I've loved math since I was a little kid. It was like the only thing I was probably really good at in school was math and daydreaming. They're kind of the same thing, though. I didn't daydream about math, probably about girls, actually. But pretty much math is great. So if you use that approach when you're thinking of this, I'm not trying to be like Sheldon or something, but the more scientific you are, the better you're going to get ahead of the curve here. This is a great little, I'm not going to call it a hack because it's not. It's a concept. If I go up a fourth, it's the same as going down a fifth. So I can go like here. Now what I want to do is connect that with some passing tones. And 3 and 4. Wherever you find yourself, there you are. You got to find the next chord you're going to. Just going through the chords. Here's the minor 7 chord. I just went through the chord changes for the first half of the song. I was doing it in triplets. I don't know why. Just felt like it. I could have done 8 notes. 1 and 2 and D and like 1 and 2 and D and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3. I'm kind of singing when I'm playing there, but so what I'm doing is I'm connecting the chords together. And 2 and 3 and 4, and you want to kind of bebop along while you're doing that. You kind of go up and down while you're doing it. I love ZZ Top. I love ZZ Top too. Half the time I'd rather be playing ZZ Top, trust me. The best one might be Jesus Left Chicago. I love that, and like, Jesus left Chicago, and it's bound for New Orleans. See, the thing is, though, Lewis, and thanks for joining me, Lewis. Lewis is a great guitar student. When you learn more advanced concepts, and then you go back to play like ZZ Top, it really comes out. And I think my favorite combination of music is jazz and blues and rock kind of blended together, and throw some classical structure in there, and that's my favorite thing. So now I'm playing through these chord changes, and I can start with one octave. C major 7 is next. There's that Beatles change. Now, you can play scales too if you want to, like it's a Dorian scale. I can play like Super Locrian and Lydian here. Depends how much time you have. This tune goes by pretty fast, so I mean, when it's a little faster, I can't think quite that fast. I'm going to play more chords. Here we go. Let's play over the top just a little bit and see what it sounds like. Play it up a little bit higher. So that's kind of how I would solo over top of that if I were playing a gig or something, and it's a lot of fun. And then the other level you would do is to be able to comp and solo at the same time, just like when you play rock. So you like play some chords. other levels too. Learning how to solo with octaves is a big thing too. We could talk about that at a future date. I was just doing that with a student today. Trying to learn how to play with octaves a little bit. Walking to bass line's a big deal. You know, doing like a and of course playing the melody of the tune and just endless amount of stuff you do. So many levels to playing jazz. But let's recap this lesson today. I talked about the structure of the song. We have F minor 7 to B flat minor 7, E flat 7 to A flat 7, and this is a 6, 2, 5, 1, and A flat. And then this is the trickiest thing of all. This is a great transitional moment. D flat major 7 has the same guide tones as D minor 7. So they use chromaticism for that modulation. It's really slick to do that. And now this is a 2, 5, 1 in C major. So we just modulated to C major, which is kind of amazing from A flat. So I guess it modulated up a major third. And now we have the next chord. We have C minor 7. So we went from C major 7 to C minor 7. It's a Beatles change. We just kind of swap thirds to modulate to the next key. F minor 7, B flat 7 to E flat 7, A flat major 7. So again, that's the same idea. We have a 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1 in E flat. A flat is the 4 chord of E flat, so that's the same exact movement we did at the beginning of the tune. And then, lo and behold, A minor 7 and A flat 7, they share the same guide tones again. So that's a 2, 5, 1 to G. Boys, that's like, huh? And then we have just a standard 2, 5, 1 in G, which is nice for us guitar players if you like that. Then we have a minor 2, 5. And again, I had mentioned the book, Steve and I always talk about this. The book writes this incorrectly. It's not a half diminished chord, it's a minor 7 flat 5 because it's functioning as a minor chord. So I'll argue people with that, I'm sure, online here. E major 7 to this C7 flat 13, which is the 5 chord of F minor 7, which is the 6 chord of the A flat key again, to D flat major 7. This time it's the 4 chord, but this time it's chromaticism. It moves to this minor 7, minor major 7 chord, which I think is absolutely beautiful. To C minor 7, to B7. So there's a chromatic line going do 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 do, like these boots are made for walking, right? To this B flat minor 7, to E flat 7. Here it is right here. And then to this A flat major 7, and then another minor 2, 5 back to 1. Boy, is that neat. This is I think my favorite jazz tune. I love the movement. I love the way the chords move like that. I think it's beautiful. And I'd mentioned before that this is the circle of fifths backwards, everything cycling through fourths. You can see the tune is doing that. If I go, here's the circle of fifths backwards. If I go like, mess that up. Here we go. So that's kind of like C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, G, D flat. You can see I'm going through the circle of fifths backwards. The circle of fifths looks like this. So the tune is doing that, isn't it? Boom, da, boom, bop, boom. Then it goes boom, bop, boom, and a little transition. It's the same thing, but kind of up a half step. Boy, is that neat. So the tune is written very well. These songs were written so much better back then, and it's one of the saving graces of learning to play jazz, because jazz is more complicated, but the tunes make a lot of sense. This is a 32-bar tune. It's A, B, A sections. It makes complete sense the way it's written. It's logical. It's makes a lot of really cool little movements, and I think a fair thing about jazz is like the things in blues too, the things that make the songs themselves unique, that's different from other songs, and I just absolutely love that change. It's not even a change, whatever you want to call it. I think it's like marvelous. And then we talked some about soloing over top of this too. Remember, we want to connect either up a fourth or down a fifth. We have to learn about tritone substitution at some point, playing these chord changes with a straight line for chromaticism. That's a different day for a different topic. Someday I'll make a video here about how tritone substitution works and really get into that. Soloing over top of this, you want to learn your arpeggios across the entire guitar so you can play this anywhere. Let me tell you a story. The first time I ever heard jazz guitar, I thought I was a great guitar player. I thought I knew everything. Or I was 19 years old. I could play like, Funk 49. I thought I was great, right? So I went to college and I walked into this room in this university I went to at Duquesne University, and there were two jazz guitar players, teachers, that were playing jazz guitar. I'd never heard it before. One of them was one of my professors, ended up being a professor for a long time. He's a great guitar player, still lives in the city. Another one was a guitar player named Emily Remler. She had come to Duquesne for an entire year, and she's a world-famous jazz guitar player. You can look up her stuff. She's absolutely phenomenal player. Emily Remler. I was so fortunate to get to know her. We would sit in a practice room and jam. I mean, I was 19, long hair, no business being able to play guitar with somebody at that caliber, but I just sat there like a sponge and just listened and tried to figure out what was going on. It was really an amazing experience for me. That first time I ever heard jazz guitar, I sat down in this room, and these two players just proceeded to just blow my mind. Literally had no idea what was going on. I couldn't follow it. I didn't understand it. It was like way over my head, and I thought, man, this is something that I'm going to pursue for a lifetime because it is really worth it. I felt like there was so much value in being able to play the guitar like that I thought to myself, man, if I'm dirt poor and I live in a little teeny apartment and I have no food to eat, but I can play guitar like that, I don't care. Now, of course, things change and you grow up and you become a parent and you own a business and you need nice cars, you want to go on vacation and you want to live in a nice house and you want to have retirement money, things change. But the principle is the same. I loved jazz guitar back then, and I'm still enamored with it now. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest jazz player, I'm certainly not, but I infuse that sensibility into everything that I do. Like if you listen to my music, it's very much like I'm a rock player at heart. Like one day I woke up about 5 or 10 years ago, and like an AA thing. I woke up and I was like, I'm a rock guitar player. Like I was identifying as a rock guitar player. It's funny because all these years of kind of like learning how to play all these other styles and really studying the guitar. And when it comes down, I mean, I'm playing a different wedding, like 2 or 3 different wedding bands. Like I'm always playing wedding stuff, and so I'm always like playing all this dance music and stuff. But like ultimately, I love Eddie Van Halen. I grew up with Eddie Van Halen. I grew up with Randy Rhoads. I grew up with all that stuff. So I mean, to me, this is where it's at for me. And still, I'm always going to be like, it's in my nature, it's in my heart. But I thought that, boy, jazz looks so legit. This is something that you can study for a lifetime. And I don't really play a lot of jazz gigs at this point. I'm usually playing something with, songs. People want to hear songs. They want to hear Dave Matthews, like the shirt. They want to hear how to play like Jimmy thing. But that doesn't mean you can't love jazz. Just study it, love it. It's worth the pain. It's worth the investment of time it takes to be able to start to do this. But hopefully you enjoyed today's ramblings and lesson. I had a great time talking about the tune, All the Things You Are. I absolutely love this song. And if you have any comments, leave comments in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, Drew Bentley Guitar. Tell your friends. Watch the videos on the channel. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here for you. I do these live stream performances a couple days a week, usually after I'm done teaching lessons all day. So around this time of day, just check out to see if I'm here. I'm not always announcing it. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't do it. When I can, and if something strikes me as being something I want to talk about, then I put it on the channel and go for it. So thank you so much for hanging out and enjoying some jazz guitar, and take a look at the song All the Things You Are. I think it's Kern who wrote it. I should probably know that. Very, very good song. I love this song, and you'll enjoy it too. All right, thank you so much.